Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is current Superior Challenge featherweight champion Bartosz Wójcikiewicz. Hello, Bartosz. How are you?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the invitation. And last year you had two bouts, but I think that they were quite important because there were like title bouts. And first bout it was in FNC against Darko Banovic. And to be honest, you looked really good for the like almost whole fight. But in the end, he caught you in the submission. And if you can tell me, how did you feel after this bout, and were there any like frustration from your side?
So never, when you prepare, the preparation was perfect. Not everything was very good. So I have no excuses, and I never have. Even if some things go wrong, you would want them to go in a different way. I looked very good. The problem is, you have to remember a title bout is five times 5 minutes. So I pushed the pace a little bit too hard. I couldn't control my emotions because it was like a big opportunity. I wanted to finish him also, and I wanted to show my skills for the world. And maybe I wanted it a bit too much, so I couldn't control myself and pace myself. And I got really tired because I'm an explosive guy, but I never had really problems with my conditioning. It's just that I give it a little bit too much in the beginning, so I just had to pace myself. But and he caught me. I got really tired, and he caught me there in the side mount. Started elbowing, and of course I felt it. It didn't feel good, but I wasn't out. I was still fighting. Then he got me into the Darce choke, and it wasn't even tight, honestly. And I heard my corner, and I heard the clap from the bell, like it's 10 seconds left. So I was like, I'm gonna relax here and just wait for the bell to go. But maybe I did the mistake and relaxed too much, so it looked like I fell asleep. And the referee, he stopped it immediately. He didn't even check my arm if I was sleeping. He just saw my arm like relax, and then he jumped in, and it was finished. The fight was finished. So immediately I realized, like, I'm not going to protest. I'm not going to complain. I did a mistake. I wasn't happy with it, but he got me fair and square. He did his job. And what can I say? I just move on and got a new belt. So I feel like I'm better than him, but he got me that time. So maybe in the future, I will have an opportunity to take him out.
But it's also probably good that you looked really, really sharp in the first like 2 rounds or even more. So it's not that he dominated you, but you looked really good. And I think that if the rematch can happen in the future, I think that it would be a like really interesting fight once again.
Yeah, I think so, because sometimes you see two guys fight and you think about the other guy, maybe he wants a rematch, and you're like not interested. But I think people would be really interested in this rematch because I looked good and he also looked good, honestly. But as I said, I believe I'm better than him, of course, and he's the champion. He won the belt that time, but I still think I want one more chance to fight him to prove that like I'm better. But it is what it is. I moved on, so it's good. But I think for FNC and for everybody, the rematch would be interesting. It wouldn't be like, nah, we don't want to see it again, because I think it was one of the most high-level fights on that card, and we showed that, both of us. So we gave both fans and people that was looking around the world a good show and showed high-level MMA.
And in your next fight in November, you become a champion. It was a superior challenge title that you won, and it probably was like great feeling because you fought for the superior challenge like 9 times, nine times, I believe.
Yes. So yeah, the feeling was great, and I was very motivated because I looked at the fight. I'm like, me and my trainers were watching. They're like, if you just would pace yourself a little bit more, he wouldn't be able, because I was so eager to finish. I got caught in takedowns. and I accepted the takedowns when he took me down. So it's like small details that you have to adjust, but it is what it is. You have to live and learn. So what can you do? But it was a great feeling. I felt I controlled the fight. I didn't do too much unnecessary things. I feel like this fight, for this title fight, I should have pushed more for the finish, but I felt like I caught him good. I didn't want to do anything stupid. And, you know, sometimes you need a win to just get your confidence up. So I felt I dominated the fight. I got some good shots in. He has never been knocked out in like 35 fights. So, and I was pretty close, but I felt like I'm not going to push anymore. And I got the win. I secured the win.
And the question is right now, what should be next for you? Are you like interested in defending the belt, or maybe the Marco Beltran fight in FNC?
So I don't know really. I'm in talks with my manager. So he wants to fight me. I want to fight him. I think it's a good fight because we both lost to Darko. So it's an interesting fight for everybody. For me, it doesn't matter if it's in FNC or Superior Challenge. So I just want to fight him. He has been in the UFC also. So it's interesting to fight somebody like that and see where your skills are. So it would be a great fight, and I think he wants it and I want it. So it should be done anywhere soon. So we will see, but I don't have more information about that, but we will see.
Definitely would be a really good fight because, like you mentioned, he's a UFC veteran, but he was a champion in like a Mexican organization, Lux Fight League. He got a lot of wins, a lot of finishes. So I think that it would be also the entertaining fight like against Banovic.
Yes, definitely, and like I said, I'm interested. For me, it's great. It's a great fight because it can open an opportunity for me to like get some attention from people around the world and the UFC. So if we would fight and I would finish him, it brings great opportunities for me. So why not? It's a great opportunity, and it's a good opportunity for him also because I'm 10-2. I'm talented and I'm on the rise. So if he would say he would win against me, it's a win for him also. So this fight is good for both of us.
And you started your career with 7 straight wins, so you were 7-0. And at that point, did you think that maybe there is a like big chance to go to the UFC, especially as undefeated fighter?
Yes, but right now I think like the UFC has changed a lot. So they are looking at either you have contacts or you have to bring something else so they can see you. So I thought at that point, yes, and maybe, you know, when you're undefeated, the pressure is a little bit bigger because when you get more wins, you think more about defending the undefeated status instead of like fighting, you know, instead of thinking like just keep fighting. So when I lost, it sucked really hard. So it sucks to lose. I don't think nobody likes to lose, but I got over it and I was like, okay, now let's just fight. I don't have that pressure anymore. So it doesn't matter for me if I was undefeated or not. If something, it was a relief also, because now you're like, it's still not a bad record, 7-1. 10-2 now, but still not a bad record. And it's more about what you do when you lose. It shows who you are. So, and I show who I am every time after I've lost. So I just get better. But yeah, I think it was a big opportunity if I would have won, but it doesn't matter. Every next fight can be your chance. So it doesn't matter. If I would finish Marco Beltran in crazy fashion, that opens the gates for me also. So honestly, it depends on. It's just the timing.
Yes, and like undefeated record, of course, looks great, but it doesn't mean that like 8-0 fighter is better than like 10-3 fighter.
No, and it honestly also it depends on who have you been fighting. You can be 30-0, but if you have been fighting everybody with a losing record, okay, maybe you're still good, but people will say, he hasn't faced anybody good yet, you know. So honestly, for me, I don't know if it's because I'm not undefeated anymore, but for me, I don't think people should focus too much on their record. Of course, you don't want to have a too bad record in the beginning, but you can always get out of it. Some people have been losing 2-3 fights before in the beginning of their career, and then they win all their fights after, and they get to the UFC. So it really doesn't matter. You have to be entertaining, you have to be charismatic, you have to have something to get there. It's not just the fighting. You know, you have to have a social media presence, you have to be able to talk a little bit, you have to master English. You know, it's different things, and you have to try to have everything, but you have to have something special. Either you fight really good or you trash talk really good, so people want to watch you get beaten. So everything depends on who you are, honestly.
Yes, yes, definitely. There are like a lot of factors in this game, but about your career, because I saw that you like started fighting professionally in Sweden. So did you start to train also like overall MMA training in Sweden, or did you have like a previous experience in Poland?
So I was born in Gdynia, Poland, 1994, but we moved to Sweden when I was. It's been different. I've heard different versions, but I think I was 5 years old or 6 years old when I came here to Sweden with my mother and my sister. So people say like, you're Swedish. But I'm Polish, but I live in Sweden. I came here when I was young, so I've been here since then. And the story how I started is just I met a friend in high school, and we watched Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen, 2, I think it was, when he got the triangle on him in the last round. And I haven't seen the sport before, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And he's like, my cousins, they have a club over here. We can go there and we can try. So I tried it, and he beat my ass, but it was so much fun. And I was always doing sports, so I was always looking to be active. But this sport, it was like everything: wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, Thai boxing. So since then, I was 15 years old. I started training, and from then it's just naturally rolled on. I started competing in submission wrestling and amateur MMA, and since then I've been working, and now I'm here.
And it was probably a great fight to love in MMA, because it was kind of crazy, because Anderson Silva at that point was the like biggest star of the UFC, and Chael Sonnen was like considered a good fighter, but more of the like trash talker than like threat for the Anderson, and then he dominated him for like over the 4.5 rounds. So it was like great and memorable fight.
Yeah, it was crazy, because even think about it. If you haven't watched the sport, and the first fight you watch is that kind of fight, you're like, whoa, this guy was getting his ass whooped for, yeah, like you said, 4.5 rounds. I don't know, it was maybe last 30 seconds or something like that. I don't remember. I haven't watched the fight since. And I was like, this was crazy. And you know, your brain starts to work. You start to have these fantasies about fighting yourselves when you're fighting yourself, because when you're young, you start to think like that. You want to do something big. And I know one thing about myself. I always knew since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a sportsman. It doesn't matter which sport, I just wanted to be a sportsman. I always knew when I was young. Which sport, I didn't know, but now we know.
And of course, you are a fighter, but also you are a coach, right? In your gym.
Yes, you can say I'm a coach, but mostly I just help the other guys. I hold beginner classes, so I help the new generation come in and train. So I wouldn't say I'm a full-time coach, but I help people. I see it like that. I just use my experience to help other people. So yeah, there's a little bit of coaching in there also. Yes.
At Forza Fighting, do you have fighters like that you see that they have like great potential to be like maybe UFC fighters, maybe like any other big organizations fighter, but like super talented guys?
Yes, of course. You know, the young guys, they are very hungry, and the sport is growing very fast. So there's a lot of people coming in. And this year also our gym has grown a lot. So it's like we had almost to stop people from coming. We said we have no more place, you know, because before you have to buy a bigger gym so you can take in more people. But so it's been great. But I definitely see potential. But right now only potential, because you see people have, you know, special abilities. They are good, but sometimes I think the younger generation, they lack this hard work that we have, the older generation. We have this like grit, you know, that you have to push through. So it's different, but still they are very talented. You can just see the new generation of fighters. They have crazy skills, but they don't have the mentality there. They have the mentality, you know, they're hungry for getting somewhere. But many of them, when you hit a wall, because sometimes you lose or something happens, you get an injury, you know, many people is thinking about something else. Or so, yes, but I see a couple of guys that have potential. If they keep training, they will definitely get to the UFC, and I will be there to help them when my career, for example, is over, or when I'm there. I will do my best to get them there, but they have to work hard. It's just that, because the talent is there, the potential is there. You just have to have the mentality. Whatever happens, I'm never gonna give up. I'm gonna keep going until my arms and legs fall off. You know, you have to have that mentality, but also you have to be intelligent and smart about your training. So you have to blend those two qualities and make something great from it.
And it's probably one of the most important qualities when you like lose a fight or have a tough training session, to be back again, because it's like it's in the training room. It's like in your like regular life. You sometimes you have bad days. It's something bad can happen in your work or in some kind of relationship, and it's important to be back and to fight against this adversity, because when you beat it, you know that you can do it again if it will happen again.
Exactly. You prove to yourself that whatever happens, I can get up every time, because you see many people. Take, for example, people that don't fight and watch us fight. They're like, if I was him, I would do this. I would, and they're eating chips in the sofa, you know. But we need these people also, because they watch our fight, but they have never stepped their foot in an MMA gym. And you have a lot of people talking to us fighters, for example, in regular life. When you're talking to people, some people talk to you and they give you advice like they've been fighting themselves. Most people have never even thrown a punch or something like that, you know. So, but yeah, it's to prove to yourself. You have to know that whatever happens, I can get out of it. That's the most important quality, because in any shape or form, it will happen. Either you will lose, you will have personal problems, you will have injuries. Everybody has different problems. Some people have all of them. So that's when you show like who you are, and you have to prove to yourself. Most importantly, prove to yourself who you are. I don't care what nobody else thinks. I have to prove for myself. That's what it's about.
And in your opinion, what is like the toughest part of MMA?
The toughest part, honestly, it would be, for me, if I talk personally, it would be injuries. If you ask me, it can be many different things, you know, because, but I think injuries, because injuries, you're like, you know, you can do something, but your body doesn't allow you. So you have to like take care of the injuries, but you have to keep training. So I believe the injuries is the most difficult part to manage also, because sometimes when you're injured, and if you're like me, I'm a little bit hard-headed, you know, you're injured and you go too hard. But nowadays I can tell it's not like that. I know when to push and I know when to pull back. And also I had my coaches to tell me, like, you have to have people that can pull you back or push you. So you have to also surround yourself with good people. But I would say, and many people would probably say, it's getting the injuries, because MMA is not a hard sport. It's not boxing. We don't use just the hands. We use our whole body all the time, physically, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, Thai boxing. So I think the biggest difficulty in the sport overall is the injuries.
And do you have like in your head plan for next, maybe this year, maybe for next few years, where would you like to be in the like maybe 2 or 3 years?
I'm not thinking too far ahead. Of course, my goal is clear. It's the UFC. I just have to I have to be more like take the short steps and one step, you know, so I don't think too far ahead. But I have one goal. I know where I want to go. It's the UFC, most definitely. But for now, if I'm thinking about maybe this year, I would like to have the fight against Marco Beltran, and then have whatever it is, FNC or Superior. I want to, because the Superior is also having much more events now nowadays. I think they're gonna have like 4 or 5 or 6 this year. So just for me this year, I want to be active and keep fighting. But the long goal is the UFC. But I want to keep active and fight in the FNC and Superior Challenge, and maybe become a double champion in Superior Challenge. Why not? Yeah, I have the featherweight belt. I can go for the bantamweight belt also. And I think from that perspective, if you look at it, it looks good. If you have 2 belts, it's a bigger chance. So that's my plan for at least this year.
And actually, Superior Challenge, maybe they didn't like like many shows, but I think that they have like over 15 or 17 years of experience. I remember like back in the days that they put a show with I believe that even Jens Pulver fought for them. So it's kind of crazy that like how many good fighters fought in this promotion.
Yeah, and it's a great promotion, and I think they are the pioneer of MMA, or having MMA events in Europe, in Northern Europe especially. So, and I've always been by their side. They got a lot of backlash last year because of the canceled events and everything. But Babak and Andres that are managing the event now, they're doing great work with a lot of other people that are involved. And they are evolving the organization with the times, because you know you cannot stay the same. You have to evolve with time, because the sport is growing a lot. So either you stay and you go away, or you keep evolving and get bigger. So they're doing great work, and I'm proud to be. I've been there since my career started. So, and I will always be there to help promote the organization, because they have done a lot for me. And they're doing great work over there, and it's only going to get bigger.
And before the fights, do you have like ways to prepare yourself mentally for the even war potentially?
Not really. I don't have any coach like that or something. I have people close to me, my coaches. They're like my family, so we know each other. They know me. That's already inside me. For me, you know, it's more like, of course, you have to prepare mentally, but mentally you prepare through work. So you keep training, you get the confidence, you do the right things at the right time, you push at the right time, you pull back at the right time. If you prepare well and you get the time to prepare well, that in itself prepares you mentally. You know that if I have to go 5 rounds, I can go 5 rounds. If it goes to crazy war, we can go to crazy war. But of course, the goal is not to go to war, because I want to keep my brain intact after the sports, after I'm done. So I'm not looking for war. If I have to, I'm ready for it. I already know. I've been like that from the beginning. I know I am tough, but for me, it's more about being intelligent and dominate, and to try to win in the best way possible, not to just go out and get brain damage. I know people like entertaining fights, but you can give an entertaining fight through being intelligent also. So yeah, that's what I think about it.
Yes, and definitely the exciting fight doesn't need to be like this kind of crazy and bloody war. You can have like super interesting grappling battle, and for the maybe for the people who don't really like MMA, they don't understand all of it. But for the fans who have like a little bit more experience, they can appreciate this like sweeps or changing positions, going for submissions. So it exciting fight can mean a lot of types of fights.
Yeah, definitely. And it depends on who you're fighting. How big is the fight? Is there any animosity? Is there any trash talk? And maybe some people, like for me, I don't, if we take the last fight, for example, the latest fight I had, I didn't do too much. But when I went in for the combinations, for the punches, I gave everything. So it's like you either have like people are like 50 minutes, they're going crazy, or like every minute they're like, whoa, you know, you have to keep them at the edge of their seats. So everything depends on, but it depends on who you are, how long have you been fighting, are you interesting as a person, like how is your style? Everything depends.
And about trash talk, are you a fan of it?
I am a fan of as long as it's like intelligent. For example, I like Dricus du Plessis. He doesn't say too much, but when he says something, it's like, you know, it's intelligent, it's funny. He doesn't curse too much. He's not crazy. I like maybe Sean Strickland. I like Sean Strickland also, but he's too much for me. I like more the intelligent part of trash talk. It's not like you're just screaming at each other crazy stuff. It has to be something good. So if it's in a good way, of course, as long as it doesn't go too far. But honestly, for me, nothing is personal in this sport, and whatever your opponent has to say, you cannot take it personally, even if the thing he's saying are very, very rude, or they cross the line. You cannot let somebody take your, like, you cannot let somebody say something to you and give them a reaction, because that's exactly what people want. When they want to make you angry, if you don't react, you don't give them nothing. But if you react, they know, okay, now I'm inside his head. So I'm a fan of it. If I will use it, I will use it naturally. If I think it's something that I want to say, I will say it. But I'm not going to try to force it. No. So, but I like it. Why not? It's entertaining. As long as it's, as I said, intelligent and not two guys screaming at each other.
And I agree that it's a bit like when you show your emotions, you lose a fight in some ways. So it's better to be like really calm, really relaxed, not going into the like this kind of fight if you don't need to.
Yes, because I tell people all the time, this is not just fighting. Like, take for example, if you see somebody, like for me, for example, I work as security, like in a bar here in Stockholm. And just for example, you know, people are drunk, some people take drugs, many people are unhappy. I don't say all people that do this, but let's take for example, and I have to take one guy out because he has drank too much. I know that the potential is there, or the possibility is there. He's going to say something crazy to me, maybe about my mother, my father, you know, but I always think like, I'm never going to give somebody the pleasure to take, like, come into my head. It's like whatever he says, it doesn't mean nothing for me, you know. And you have to think like this in life, because you cannot get angry for everything all the time, because if somebody punches you, you cannot control it. It's somebody forcing themselves on you. But if they can say something to you and take control of your mind or your reactions, then it's over.
Okay,
I hope that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for the conversation. I hope that like any promotion will book your fight against Marco Beltran, because I think that right now it would be the most interesting fight. But
Yes.
but if there's something else will happen, maybe a second belt in the Superior Challenge, maybe some other interesting bout, and I hope that you will win this this fight again.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me. It was a great conversation. Thank you.